What are some stupid mentalities and mindsets that need to end? The concept that both fault and responsibility can only be 100% or 0%, and that if someone else has some fault it absolves another of all responsibility. You're entitled to speak your mind. You're not entitled to have people listen, comply, or care. Stop comparing traumas. It's not a ducking competition. Learn to have empathy and take care of each other's mental health. Assuming that people are not allowed to change their opinions or values over time. And judging people, famous or not, for comments made decades ago. Yes, some people have patterns of problematic comments and behavior and should not be ignored. But it also makes sense that, for example, a politician may have learned more about abortion or healthcare or what have you and be able to change their stance. We are not the same people at 25 and 50. If you don't post about a tragedy or support something on social media, you are okay with or don't support/care about said something. Absolute cancer. I read about it on the internet. Therefore it's true. My grandma does this all the time to prove her argument, and it always ends up being from some BuzzFeed article. Drives me ducking nuts. Expecting everything instantly. Patience is a virtue. You're not going to die if you have to wait in line. People who oppose good things because I struggled through it and so should you. Instead of thinking good. Nobody should go through that if possible. That you need to stay in contact with all of your family members even though some of them are incredibly toxic. Everybody that doesn't get along with you or agree with you is toxic. People are starting to expect being around nobody but people that agree with them. Like a constant feedback bubble on social media. But in real life. Butt and seat mentality at white-collar office-type jobs. If you do your job at a computer, there is no reason you shouldn't be able to work from home. Then attendance is not as important as just getting work done. And it eliminates the need for commuting, which eases traffic and pollution. Some people think that just because a person looks normal, they don't have a disability and must be lying. When people post their opinion about something on social media and then say they don't want to debate, people who disagree will be unfriended, etc. I usually save them the step and delete them. But it still freaks me out that people are that unwilling to disagree, discuss, learn, etc. The view that you're good enough the way you are. I know that may sound strange, but no one's perfect and we can all change ourselves in a positive ways. This mindset does have its correct uses, such as coming out of an abusive relationship, but more and more I'm seeing it used to justify staying a worse person than who you could be. If you can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. Sometimes someone's worst is an absolute deal breaker, and needing to cut ties and move on doesn't mean that that person doesn't deserve the good things that come from a better relationship. Telling kids, especially young girls, that others only pick on them because they are jealous of them or fancy them. That is how you teach your kids that people abuse you because they like you. It needs to stop. Using a small percentage of one group's behavior and extrapolating that out to represent everyone. Example 1. 35 people out of the 335 people on welfare abuse the system. That's it, it's a scam, we need to get rid of it. Example 2. 3 babies had to be flown across country for medical treatment. Every crying baby on an airplane is a life or death situation. You can't judge the parents. Just because a few people did something negative doesn't mean every single person is going to do the same thing. Defining people by their jobs. The 40-hour work week. Using automation to hurt instead of help. Bootlicking to bosses who do not and will not care about you. The productivity-centric social expectations. That if you don't like something, like a movie or video game, it means it's bad. Come on people. Grow up already. Example. I think The Revenant is a fantastic movie. But I hate it because I find it terribly boring and I would never watch it again. But the cinematography and production is drop dead gorgeous. Something I notice in the gym is the no pain, no gain mentality is rampant. It is good to feel soreness and tightness after and during your workout. But working yourself to pain hinders your progress immensely. CrossFit takes this to an extreme, encouraging people to work out until total failure, which can result in severe injury. Working out shouldn't be painful. One wrong tear and you're toast. That if someone holds a particular belief, they must hold the most extreme possible version of that belief. If I tailgate the person on front of me, they'll go faster. What a great mentality to have if you want to rear-end someone. That we should have unconditional love for our relatives. Bitch. If you hurt me enough, why should I even like you? Ghosting/cancel culture. Unless your life is at risk. When there's disagreement, conflict, hurt feelings, talk, discuss, air out your grievances. Forgive if the other is willing to as well. Move on if need be. But don't leave the situation unresolved. This is such an unhealthy coping mechanism. I don't know how it has become the norm. Musicians, actors, athletes are so good because they are so talented. Instead of acknowledging the hard work they put into it every day. No days off. Sometimes you need a mental health day or a break. And people make it sound like if you don't work yourself into the ground you won't be successful. Successful people know when to recharge. Just an annoying mindset. Life is not often zero-sum. Winning does not have to come at the expense of someone else losing. I think people need to start recognizing when win-win situations are available, and pursue them more vigorously. The idea that resting is lazy. Self-care is a somewhat new concept to most people, and humans suck at it. We focus on things that aren't biologically sound, like dieting, exercising to failure, or working 80 hours a week, and totally ignore what we actually makes sense in regards to being healthier and more fulfilled. Nobody is interested in having a relationship with me, and that definitely means there's a problem with the sex/sexes I'm interested in as a whole, or I haven't found a good relationship yet, and that means I will never find one. 1. That censoring ideas you don't like is a good thing. 2. That gun control will solve gun crime. 3. That trans kids should be able to hormonally transition while they are minors. 4. That we should be inclusive of every tiny little identity, even if you have to suspend logic to accept it. 5. That every conservative is an Nazi. 6. That every liberal is a communist. 7. That every independent is an appeaser. A mistake means I'm a bad person. How can you learn from mistakes if you can't recognize that you make them? When bad things happen to celebrities, it's a tragedy. But when bad things happen to regular people, nobody bats an eye. Current example. All the people making artwork to commemorate Kobe Bryant and Gigi. But very few posts even mention that 7 other people were also killed. Likewise, if a celebrity does something good/thoughtful, they are lauded for their compassion. But usually the things they are doing aren't much different than what other people do every day. Saying no offense before saying something offensive won't automatically make your comment less offensive. That people can be absolute jerks to others just because they have money or social media followers. A life without children is empty and worthless. I am confident that I would be a terrible parent. And no, it won't change. And no, my life will not suffer because of it. It is better to have that insight and avoid parenthood than have kids you resent, mistreat, or are unprepared for. Cleaning your own house is a woman's job. Do some dishes, man. It's your house too. Make it look nice. That straight white men are the root of all evil and should be exterminated. There are literally people like this. Black people to other black people, telling them why they are acting white for speaking English properly.